Heckler Koch VP9 won Gun & Ammo's Handgun of the Year award in 2014. In the year following, American Rifleman awarded the Heckler Koch VP9 the winner of the Golden Bullseye Award for Handgun Product of the Year. According to the manufacturer, the VP9 was under development for more than 4 years before it was released in June of 2014. The original name for the pistol was P30X, as it is essentially a striker-fired derivative of the P30. However, it was changed to VP9 for the U.S. commercial market. This specimen was provided by my son-in-law, who has been instrumental in feeding my propensity to review quality handguns. Stay tuned, because I am going to tell you all about this one, to include specifications, features, maintenance, the first day at the range with it, and my final thoughts regarding it. This VP9 is chambered, as you would expect, in 9 by 19 mm. But that is only the beginning of specifications for the VP9. The length is 7.34 inches, with a height of 5.41 inches, a width of 1.32 inches, a barrel length of 4.09 inches, and a sight radius of 6.38 inches. Moving on to the weight, we have 25.56 ounces, unloaded with an empty magazine. As far as other specifications, we have a magazine capacity of 10, 15, and 17, a rated trigger pull weight of 5.4 pounds, a trigger travel of 0.24 inches, with a return travel of 0.12 inches. The barrel profile and twist is polygonal, 6-groove, right-hand twist, 1 and 9.8 inches. The VP9 offers so many features that I find it difficult to determine where to begin. So, let me begin with the beginning of the pistol's front end, that portion of the pistol that the bad person would see first. The pistol's front end is very busy, and would be very blocky looking if it were not for the chamfered slide and frame that provide easier holstering of the pistol. The slide is milled from a solid block of high carbon steel, and then enhanced with a corrosion-resistant nitro-carburized finish. The slide on the VP9 features, on this specimen, front and rear true dot night sights. Both front and rear sights are drift adjustable for windage, but not adjustable for elevation. Nicely cut serrations provide a means for racking or releasing the slide from the front. The rear of the slide not only incorporates serrations, but also incorporates what H&K calls charging supports, a raised portion on each side of the slide that not only prevents the fingers of the hand from sliding off of the pistol, but also allows folks with reduced hand strength to obtain more leverage when operating the slide. An extended 4-point Picatinny Mill Standard 1913 rail is molded into the VP9's polymer frame for mounting a wide variety of lights, lasers, and combinations of both. According to H&K, the rail has been tested and certified to handle mounted accessories up to 5.6 ounces. Incorporated into that rail system is the unit serial number and origin of import, HKI, Columbus, Georgia. As far as slide markings, the left side of the slide contains the model designation and caliber. Flipping to the right side of the slide, we see the unit serial number and other manufacturer's markings. All are highly visible. Locking the slide to the rear reveals the cold hammer forged barrel and full-length captivated guide rod. The barrel is made from cannon-grade steel and, as you will see in the maintenance segment, a highly polished feed ramp. According to H&K, similar barrels in HK P39mm models fired more than 90,000 rounds in endurance tests in 2010. Moving to mid-slide, the ejection port extends to both sides of the slide, giving every opportunity for extracted shells to be thrown quite clear of the pistol. The ejection port is also where the barrel's chamber is exposed, and the forward end of that chamber locks into its rightful place in the slide with firmness. The unit serial number is, once again, displayed, as is the caliber, on the barrel's chamber. Speaking of extraction, the external extractor does its job well and also serves as a chamber-loaded indicator. When a cartridge is chambered, the extractor juts outward and a bit of red paint tells the operator that, indeed, a cartridge is chambered. Let me finish up on the slide before tackling the frame. At the rear of the slide is a cocked indicator that, if the pistol is cocked, reveals just a bit of red. An indicator of this type is used in Springfield Armory XD pistols, and with a few others, as a means to transmit to the operator that the pistol is cocked and ready to fire. Personally, I usually pay this type of indicator no mind, as I believe that a pistol is always ready to fire, unless I deem it not to be, as with the slide lock back. Safety features abound on the VP9 and include a unique side-mounted drop safety for the firing pin. The frame incorporates a trigger-mounted safety that prevents accidental discharge from impact if the VP9 is struck or dropped, and a disconnector ensures that the slide must be in full battery for the VP9 to fire. The takedown lever acts as a disassembly safety and precludes the VP9 from being disassembled unless the magazine is removed from the magazine well. If cocked, the firing pin is also decocked, as the takedown lever is rotated forward. Let's move on to the frame, and what a frame it is. VP controls are completely ambidextrous. Slide releases are present on both sides of the frame and have enough material to be easily engaged in either direction, up to lock the slide or down to release the slide. I found the left side slide release to be easily accessible with the thumb of my shooting hand and with the thumb of my sport hand. The right side lever was easily pressed to release the slide with my trigger finger. The handgun grip design includes 3 changeable back straps and 6 side panels that can make the grip agreeable to almost all hand sizes. According to H&K, only H&K handguns have such a customized grip. In all, there are 27 grip possibilities. The front strap of the grip incorporates molded finger grooves that some folks like and some folks can do without. The grooves are not deeply cut and should agree with most shooters' hands. The overall texture of the grip is favorable to the hand, and the frame's undercut at the rear ensures that the shooting hand is not going to get in the way of the slide as it moves rearward under recoil. The length of the grip is near perfect in my hand, as the bottom of the grip has a flare that keeps my little finger from sliding beneath the grip. I like this feature, as it also provides a hook point to ensure that it assists an operator in getting a full grip when needed to pull the pistol from a holster. Another feature of the grip is a beveled portion at the bottom of the grip, where an operator can get a good handhold on a magazine should it not decide to drop away freely when released. Now let me get into a feature that is unique to the H&K pistol, the magazine catch and release mechanism. Unlike most pistols that have a magazine button just behind the trigger guard, the VP9 has a magazine catch and release mechanism that is integrated into the trigger guard. This is a feature that I like, but it does take some getting used to, especially to an old coot like me who is used to pushing a magazine button. Because of its design, it would be very difficult to inadvertently release a magazine. I found the magazine release lever to be easily accessible by the thumb or trigger finger of the shooting hand without interrupting too much the grip the hand has on the pistol, and is easily pressed downward to release a magazine, of which the pistol does very well. Thank you. Moving forward, the trigger guard is nicely arched, has a slight undercut, and the front end is squared off and serrated. In my hands, I can remove my trigger finger from inside the trigger guard, extend the shooting finger, and it rests nicely against the side of the trigger guard at the front. Folks with short fingers may not be able to do this. It's time for me to expound on that trigger. The nicely arched trigger incorporates the now familiar trigger safety lever centered within the trigger that prevents the trigger from moving into the frame unless it is pressed with the trigger. The VP9 trigger has a short, light take-up with a slight bit of grittiness before hitting a solid wall, and a very good single-action type crisp break followed by a short positive reset. With a 5-pull average, this VP9's trigger pull weight clocked in at 3 pounds 15.7 ounces. The striker is not pre-staged, as with some striker-fired pistols. When pulling those triggers, the action completes staging the striker until it is released. With the VP9, there seems to be less than noticeable pre-travel pull until the striker is released. Have I covered everything in the features that you need or want to know? How about you on the left there? You're good to go. Okay, let me get out of this segment and into the maintenance of the H&K VP9. Before I get into the disassembly of the VP9, at least as far as needed for routine maintenance, safety is always first. With the slide still locked to the rear and the magazine removed, rotate the disassembly lever, located on the left side of the frame, forward until the lever is pointing downward to the approximate 6 o'clock position. Release the slide and allow the slide to go slowly forward until it stops. Pull the trigger. The trigger must be pulled to fully release the slide. Remove the slide from the frame. Turn the slide upside down and carefully push the recoil spring forward and then out of the slide to the rear. Note the orientation of the guide rod and the coloring at the rear of the recoil spring. Pivot the barrel slightly forward and press downward on the barrel locking block through the ejection port, separating the barrel from the slide. Remove the barrel. This completes the disassembly process for routine maintenance. As far as cleaning, inspection, and lubrication, I am simply going to steer you to the operator's manual, where this information can be found. There are, however, certain things that H&K wants you to know regarding inspection and lubrication. So, I'll just let them tell you.
During and after cleaning, visually inspect the pistol and its components for any irregularities that may cause problems or stoppages during operation. Generally, you should keep a watchful eye out for the discrepancies shown. Metal surfaces of the VP9 pistol are treated with HK's special corrosion and wear-resistant finish. This surface treatment does not completely reduce the friction between moving parts, and it is recommended that a lubricant be applied to the pistol to ensure proper functioning. Any type of high-quality, medium-weight lubricant specifically designed for use on firearms will work well on the VP9. Do not use lubricants that boast of their ability to penetrate metal, as these substances may deaden primers. The image shows areas on the pistol, in red, that require particular attention to lubrication.
Let's say we assemble the VP9 and then follow up with a function check. Turn the slide upside down and insert the barrel into the slide with the barrel's angular locking surface facing upwards. Pivot the barrel back toward the rear until the barrel's locking block snaps into the slide's ejection port. Insert the pronged end of the recoil spring into the tang on the slide that extends below the muzzle. Push the recoil spring forward into position, compressing the recoil spring. Then, pivot the back of the recoil spring guide rod onto the step mounting surface located on the front of the barrel locking lug. Ensure the front of the recoil spring is facing forward in the slide. Ensure that no magazine is present in the magazine well, and that the disassembly lever is in the down position. Mount the slide onto the frame, ensuring that the recoil spring is centered underneath the barrel, and that the rails on the frame are inserted into the grooves on the bottom of the slide. Push or pull the slide back toward the rear. It might be necessary to push directly down on the back of the slide where the rear sight is located to ensure that the rails on the rear frame insert properly engage the grooves on the bottom of the slide. Continue to bring the slide back towards the rear, as either of the ambidextrous slide release levers are pivoted upward, thus locking the slide back. Pivot the disassembly lever counterclockwise so that the lever lies horizontal to the bottom of the slide. With a safety check, disassembly, cleaning, inspection, lubrication, and assembly out of the way, a function check is in order. Cycle the slide about 3 or 4 times in quick succession, ensuring that fingers are off the trigger and outside the trigger guard. The slide should be able to move back and forth under the tension of the recoil spring without binding or locking up. Lock the slide to the rear. Hold the trigger to the rear. Pull or push the slide fully to the rear to release it. While holding the trigger to the rear, slowly allow the slide to go forward. At approximately 1/4 inch from going into full battery, you will feel and hear the trigger reset. This checks the disconnector operation. Release the trigger. Check the cocking status of the firing pin. The red cocking indicator should be visible through the witness hole on the rear of the slide. This is the point where I use a couple of snap caps to check extraction and ejection. Load 1 or 2 snap caps into a magazine and install the magazine into the pistol. Cycle the slide 1 time to load the first snap cap. Pull the trigger and dry fire the VP9 while observing the witness hole on the rear of the slide. The firing pin should now be in a decocked condition, and red indicator should not be visible. Fully cycle the slide. The first snap cap should be extracted and ejected. and the second snap cap will be chambered. Without pressing the trigger safety, attempt to pull the trigger. The trigger should not enter the frame of the pistol and the striker should not release. Push or pull the slide to the rear. The second snap cap will be extracted and ejected, and the slide should lock back on an empty magazine. This completes the function check. If any function check fails, seek out a competent gunsmith or contact HK Customer Service. Do not attempt to live fire the pistol, as it is unsafe to do so. Now that there is a fully functioning VP9, what say we check the rest of the function at the range? Before I went to live fire the VP9, I spent some time getting used to the magazine release, inserting and reinserting a magazine and repeatedly pressing the magazine levers down with the thumb and trigger finger of the shooting hand to build up some muscle memory, as I am used to simply pushing a magazine button rather than pushing down on a lever. With that little exercise out of the way, it was time to see if the VP9 lived up to its reputation as being a most accurate and reliable firearm. I had quite a bit of ammunition left over from a previous shooting session with another pistol, so I just decided to use up leftovers for the VP9. This At the Range segment is in two parts. The first part takes place at my usual indoor range, where you see the majority of my range videos. The second part is at the Clybell Shooting Range that is located within the Charlie Elliott Wildlife Center, located just below Mansfield, Georgia. Rather than just shooting at one silhouette target, as in the indoor range, I can shoot at multiple steel targets. The Clybell Pistol Range is a 35-yard pistol range with reactive steel targets at varying distances. As you will see, shooting at them is one thing, hitting them is another, even with a fine pistol like the VP9. So, let me get to the first shooting part, and I'll provide you with notes during the session there. Then, I'll transport you to the outdoor range, where Bigfoot roams and the cicadas sing for sex. Afterward, I'll provide you with a synopsis of both range days with the VP9. All right then, let me shut up and get to shooting.
Alright.
I would sincerely like to thank you for sticking with me as I showcased an excellent pistol from H&K VP9. I know that it took a while, but the VP9 has a lot to offer to folks who are looking for a pistol that was designed and crafted by professionals who understand what folks like us are looking for. All H&K firearms are held in high esteem throughout the world that we now know as Earth. Currently, there are 8 versions of the VP9 available to the American market, with this model being simply the VP9. The VP9 is a striker-fired pistol that features a Picatinny rail, ambidextrous controls, a hammer-forged polygonal barrel, and changeable back and side straps to make the pistol grip customizable for any shooter's hands with 27 options of grip configuration. It was in development for more than 4 years and is Heckler Koch's first striker-fired handgun since the P7 series pistols, which were introduced in the 1980s. The pistols are made in Heckler Koch's Obendorf factory in southwest Germany. The H&K VP9 would make a fine carry for anyone looking for a high-quality, reliable, and excellent handling pistol. With that, I take leave of this review. I hope to see you again as my channel continues to grow with video reviews. Until we do meet again, be vigilant, be armed, and be safe out there.